again, I'm Beatrice Fedeli. I'm so happy that you stopped by. For today's video, we're going to be making a landscape, a loose landscape. Call this my happy landscape because we start bringing some of the fall colors. It's not fall yet. I wish. It's pretty hot here where I live, but the promise of the fall to come is what got me into painting this. So get your brushes and let's get landscape that is not quite fall, but like showing the beginning of the fall. So I have here cobalt blue for my sky. I just wetted it slightly, a little bit, not too much. I want to have a light sky. We want this to be a bright painting. By that I mean bright colors. I just put a little bit of the color and then soft edges by going just with water. With the same color, we're gonna have the image of some distant mountains. So I want soft edges for that as well. I'm gonna have trees over here, so I don't have to put everything blue. Maybe a little bit here, like if it is hints of sky, but pale. And since I'm gonna dilute this, since it's gonna dry later, I just wanna kill the white, basically, the white of the paint. I'm gonna use the same, but I'm gonna add a hint, no, not that one, a hint of the neutral tint. All right, so let's just put some, oops, let me bring my water a little bit higher so that I don't end up with a big hard line. Gonna put it here on the edge of the mountain, and because I have the wet on wet is giving me the softness that I love. Okay, beautiful. And let's just bring it a little bit here too. We also gonna have trees here, but we want a little bit of color. Oops, no hard edges, to come over here through the peaks, not a whole lot. All right, now let's just get maybe a hint more on the warm it up so that it gets a little bit closer. By warming it up, I mean I'm bringing a little bit more of the cobalt blue without the neutral tint. I don't want a whole lot of colors. My water, when I went with water, pushed those colors out a little bit too much. Let's just bring them out again. And then we let this do whatever the water wants to do. We have a distant one, but I won't be able to put that one till this one is dry. Otherwise, all those colors will go there. All right, sometimes I like to look. I'm gonna have some greens and some orange, some darker greens and lighter greens, some yellows here, maybe there's a little bit of a lake. So since I have the color on my brush, pale, it was a little, not too pale, so let's just dilute it. Okay, right here. Just to use the color mainly that it was in my brush. Yeah, maybe I will put some over here too. Okay, we stop and we let this dry. So we're gonna start with two brushes, and on this brush I'm gonna have some of the Quinacridone Gold and Naples Yellow, very light, and in this other one I'm gonna pick up some of these greens from the palette. Mainly they are olive greens and sap green. And we're gonna go ahead and start making the impressions of trees around here. Maybe a little bit on the blue side. Let me get some of the same blue that we were having on our mountains and our sky. Water to dilute this. Again, these are impressions. And now I'm gonna bring some water, and here I'm gonna start bringing some of these yellows, because we want to give the impression of the beginning of fall. Gorgeous colors. Gonna leave some of that. Let's bring some of these same colors that I have in the palette, but I'm gonna get a little bit of those blues. It's the same cobalt blue that I was having on the sky. And just for variation, let's just put, what are those impressions of trees? And let's bring this time the greens a little bit down and go back with yellows. So we're gonna start with two brushes. And on this brush I'm gonna have some of the Queen Gold and Naples Yellow, very light. And in this other one, I'm gonna pick up some of these greens from the palette. Mainly they are olive greens and sap green. And we're gonna go ahead and start making the impressions of trees around here. Maybe a little bit on the blue side. Let me get some of the same blue that we were having on our mountains and our sky. Water to dilute this. Again, these are impressions. And now I'm gonna bring some water, and here I'm gonna start bringing some of these yellows, because we want to give the impression of the beginning of fall. Gorgeous colors. Gonna leave some of that. Let's bring some of these same colors that I have in the palette, but I'm gonna get a little bit of those blues. It's the same cobalt blue that I was having on the sky. And just for variation, let's just put, what are those impressions of trees? And let's bring this time the greens a little bit down and go back with yellows. Open it up a little bit. Back to the yellows. And water. Greens. And we're gonna put, oops, a little bit of my color. We're gonna start putting the impression of a tree here. Nothing major. We'll go back later with darker colors and when this is dry, so it will give us more of hard edge. But for right now, we will do that. All right, that's pretty nice. Now let's go over here to the Queen Gold, and let's just bring, let's do warm up. So to this, I'm bringing a little bit of my burnt umber with the Queen Gold, and it's gonna give me this lovely yellow. I can bring a little hint of my green as well, and let's start putting some of these fields here. Very nice. Oops, look at this, be careful. Same color. Let's put some of those. I'm purposely leaving a little bit of the whites. I think that add a little bit of freshness and crisp, making it more crisp. Let's go from more color to less. Now I'm picking some reds. I don't know if you can show. And to these reds, let's just bring a little bit of orange, my translucent orange from Sminky. And in this brush, I'm gonna give myself some of the yellows, and to these yellows we will add some greens. So let's see. Orange, leaving some whites. The idea here is to dilute some of these, to have soft transitions between one color and the other. Yes, I'm working fast, but the reason why I'm working fast is because I want the colors to blend. Now I switch to the yellow. Let's get some of the greens. Dump some of them over here. Again, I'm trying to get variation. If I get these three colors here, our eyes are kind of gonna go there, and that's one thing that we want. Let's get all the greens. Let's just bring a little bit of that color here too. Lightly, nothing major. Of course, we want this to remain in the back. Just to warm it up, just like. Again, the translucent yellow, the translucent orange. Let's see where I am out here. Let's just put it right here. Now I'm going with my Naples Yellow. Picking those up, just going with my tip of my brush. We're going to dilute some of this. We're going to bring the Naples Yellow all the way to the edge. Here, I'm going to put some greens here. And some greens here. And we're going to blend. I'm mixing my sap green with some of these greens that I have over here, but I'm also going to bring some of my Queen Gold. Okay, and we're going to start putting some trees here. I don't want to cover everything, but give it some water, I'll give them a place to breathe. Let's just add a little bit of the yellows here and there. So these two are blending. Let's get some water, a little bit of dilution too. And I'm gonna start cooling it down. And maybe another tree comes around here. In front of this one. And for that, I'm just gonna bring a lot of water. Maybe bring a little bit of blues. This is the cobalt blue. Let me go back a little on these edges while this is all wet. For variation. And here too. All right, while this dries, we're gonna be putting some distant evergreens around there. I have a piece of paper because I want it to be in some areas a little bit like if they are the fog distance. Here I make a mix with blues, the cobalt blue and greens, and I'm gonna give myself the same green, the sap green. And now I'm gonna, let me clean this area. You stay there. And you can see it on my palette. And then I'm gonna bring here some of the cobalt blue so that I have some that are cold. Okay, so I'm gonna start. I'm going to put a few trees, the impression of some trees, okay? Top, down, evergreens. I'm going to bring water. I'm going to bring a little bit of those greens. I'm going to cover all these as if it is a line of trees over there. What I'm concentrating is on the tips. All of this is going to be kind of like one solid line. So I can go ahead and put it in now. Let's drop a little hints of greens, yellows here and there as well. And some of these be lower. And I can go with these and even lift a little in some areas. Maybe I left too much of that. One here and tall. And once again, I'm going to drop a little bit of yellow here at the bottom. So some of these colors, we start bringing them here as well. A little bit of water. Now, let's do a good blue one. And now let's do a green one next to it. And a mix of both. All right, water. We're gonna put 2 evergreens here, so let's continue to have the bottom lighter. So I just drop in some water and that will do it. That's looking good. All right, let's bring some of the colors, very pale blue here. Maybe it's a little bit of water. Yeah. And pale reflections of greens. So the water maybe turning a little green around here. A little bit of the darker greens, a little bit of the edge of this lake. This dry. I make myself dark because we're gonna put the evergreens. Mix of sap green, and then I'm putting blues. The ones that I have in my palette. This is the Cobalt. I know this is the French. Put this out of the way. And we're gonna start putting this tree here that we sort of started. So let's get it darker. But what I want to do is bring some yellows and the middle. There you go. Oh, beautiful, beautiful colors. All right. So now go a little bit more on the green side. And again, let's drop a lot of yellow. Dilute it. And you know what? I kind of like all of these. So let's just let this part, maybe a little fog, who knows? Maybe something comes here from another tree. This shows here. Now we are making impressions. I don't want to get this too close to that because obviously it's wet and I will lose those tips, and I want those tips. Let's continue to build this one. Probably come a little bit higher if it keeps going bigger. Now let's switch to more blues. And it will come. It goes from less to more, so it will start getting bigger and wider towards the end. I'm gonna put some of those yellows that I have here, and then I'm gonna get the impression of another one that was coming through there. And now all of this is gonna disappear. Impressions here too, but like if they are more in the distance. Yellows. And put that on hold till it dries. Then we will come with some trees that have lost all their leaves. Some perennial. I'm gonna go with darker colors. This will end up around here. Go with water right away. Want a little bit of these greenish yellows to come here as well. I want this to be the lighter part of the lake. Now we're gonna drop some of this greenery that it will reflect in the lake, but it will not be all so sharp. It will be disturbed by the water. So let's just break this up. And dark color here right by the edge. I'm doing some of my indigo. It still is wet, so it's gonna, because it's wet, it's gonna bleed a little bit. Opposite, a little bit of those greens in the opposite direction, and then water. Let this dry, and then we'll let's put these evergreens on the other side. And for these colors, I'm mixing French ultramarine with some of my olive green. We want it dark, but we want them in the blue sides with a hint of green. I'm right-handed, so I had to go from left to right, otherwise I will rest my hand out there. Because of that, we're going to start with the lowers and then keep going higher. So let's just say we put, where are we going to put this? We're going to have kind of trunks going this way. If you're going this way, let's just start here. So yeah, it looks like Chinese calligraphy, but that's how it gives the impressions of evergreens, and that's what we want. All right, this is more like a evergreen that is all gonna drop a little bit of water. And now since I'm gonna be doing the same thing, it's just gonna be quiet and speed this part up a little bit. And now we're gonna be doing, I did a slightly negative painting here just to make it look like there is another tree in front, just by going here with a little bit of dark, the blues, then this tree can appear in front. Some of those reflection of these trees will be in the water as well. So I start by adding the color, water, and then I'm gonna go with these ones over here and put it more. This will be more of the evergreens. Some light blues, let's allow some of the underpainting blue to show. I'm going to pretend that there are some of those evergreens reflections. Get together. And then a few darker here. And one thing that we're going to do is like make the edge a little bit more straight, but also a little bit darker. Because it's land and water. So in these areas, they always get slightly darker. And since I have those darks over here, let's just drop a few there too. And here too. Now that this is dry, I can go and just with white. Okay, let me go again to do. I need to move my palette, otherwise I don't have a good hold to rest my hand. Thinner, thicker. Now let me see, this is fairly wet. Let me dry this, then we're gonna put a few tree trunks and our painting will be done. All right, so our painting is almost done, but I'm just gonna put a few touches before we put the trunks. And one of them will be to darken some of the land that goes close to the water. I'm just going with my sap green, bringing some of that. I could also bring a little bit of the yellows. Let's just do some of this here too. I'm gonna get a little bit darker because we're gonna have tree trunks coming out from here. That's my idea. Water, dilute this. I don't wanna cover those lovely orange that I have there. My translucent orange. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, 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 tap. Hard each other, so just with water tapping. I'm not covering all the other ones that we did. Call it an underpainting, if you will. I bring in the color. I should have a little bit of the greens. I don't. Let's bring them back. And here we go. Again, where this land meets the water, it's always a little bit darker because there's land underneath the water. So we just darken that slightly. No need to go too high, but just high enough. We got that other. Let's just bring. Now let's just darken these yellows a little because they're too pale, and this is what is closer to the viewer, to us. So they should have more color and don't be as pale as this, for example, which is farther away. All right, got the yellow here. Just bring some of that here. Water. And yeah, now I'm drying this and we are ready to put the final touch and be ready. This painting will be done. Let's get a little bit of the orange here too. Hint of fall. Got it there, we got it here, we got a little bit in the middle. So I made a mix with French ultramarine that I have in my brush right now. Burnt umber, neutral tint, and a hint of burnt sienna I have in this other palette. Let's bring a little bit more of the French Ultra to darken it up. I want I'm aiming for a dark brown, and I think that I should have it by now. Let's see. Once again, I'm right-handed, so I'm gonna start over here. I just wanna have the impressions because this is lovely, like fog, but it feels empty otherwise. So I'm gonna put the impressions of some perennial trees that have lost their leaves. But because the part is and the fog, I'm gonna put a little bit of water, and then I'm gonna lift some areas. Or then maybe my paint is too thick. It's not leaving my brush. Now it's better. So some are crooked. Some go straight. Let's get another one right here. All right, and now let's dilute this with a little bit more burn umber, and let's just put some of these tree trunks, some of these trees. Go through these holes. And let's get a little bit of the dark at the bottom. Maybe this will be a solid one. A thinner brush, and picking the same colors, we're gonna put like some come over here, some stay in the back. Let's get this one, because and that other side of the lake, let's have a bunch of trees here, so maybe there are more than one, maybe more than two. And let's go with greens. Let's go with greens and pretend that they're more behind this big tree. I want to get it lighter, so it gives a sense of distance. And back to the sticker. I got some of those. Let's just put one that comes from here, and it goes in front of this tree. So the last thing that we need to do for here, and I've been trying to do by using my silver Bristol Bright, is lift, see if I could lift, which I did slightly, but I want to do more. I go with the color, I go with paper, and I lift. Because in the lake, the water, I mean lake or the ocean, the water will be breaking some by giving us some horizontal lines. I don't know if I can do it here. And don't ask me why. All I know is that that's how it is by observation. All right, so I got this. Let's just break this a little bit. And I left some of the underpainting showing. Let me see if I can put one over here. The trick here is to put enough, but don't overdo it. maybe a little one. This will be too even. So maybe a little one over here. Okay, and our painting, I'm gonna call it done. It's a gorgeous, fast, if you saw it done, not a whole lot of detail, but the right detail when it matters, and especially a happy painting. I love this painting. So beginning of fall, we still got many months to come with the changing of the colors, and I'm sure that we will take advantage of that in future videos. Give it a try, let me know how it turns out, and I will see you in my next video.